Hello and welcome to Game Gumbo. Today we're unboxing Blood Rage from Simon Games. This is from their 2018 Kickstarter for Blood Rage Digital, but they also sold the physical game as well as the different expansions and even new versions of the Kickstarter exclusives that came with the original Kickstarter. So Blood Rage is a game for 2 to 4 players. You can play 5 with the expansion, and it plays in about 60 to 90 minutes. It's mostly area control, but it has some drafting as well. So in this copy, we've got most of what they offered through the Kickstarter. We'll just go through this big box first, and then we'll get into each individual box in a little more detail. So we've got the Gods of Asgard expansion. We've got the clan tokens for the different clans. These are just for your different stats, like your rage. We've got the Mystics of Midgard expansion. These are the updated, thicker cardboard player boards for the different clans. Instead of the base game, they had sort of, not flimsy, but not very thick paper boards. These are the cardboard upgrades. This is all the Kickstarter exclusive stuff that came with the new digital version. So you've got gold-plated versions of the gods, another clan, and then these are the remakes of the Kickstarter exclusive monsters from the first campaign. They are a little bit different. As you see, you've got Garm here instead of Finra. And last, we've got the core game itself. All right, so here we're going to look at the core box first. This is the same version you would find in your local gaming store. This will play 2 to 4 players, just straight out of the box. We've got our rulebook here. Got some player boards here, as well as the Valhalla board, which is where dead characters go until the end of each round. And then the player boards here, which are thick enough. They're not dangerously thin, but they are just very kind of standard paper thickness. Little board that basically keeps track of how the game plays. So you have 3 ages that you're going to play through. The end of each age and area, and these will be randomly selected. One area will basically fall to Ragnarok and will be unavailable for the rest of the game. So there are cards, mini cards, that you'll draft at the beginning of each round. Then you'll take turns playing those cards or taking actions until everybody is done. And then you'll discard down to 1 card, resolve any quests that you've played, then you'll have Ragnarok, then you'll get figures back from Valhalla, and then you'll do that again. Total of 3 times, and the person with the most victory points at the end of the game will win. So we've got some cardboard here, very chunky cardboard, pops out. So these are the Ragnarok tiles. As you can see on the back, they have different area names, so you won't know what areas are going to get destroyed until you've selected them at the beginning of the game. These are our player pieces. These are just used to track the different stats of your clan because they can move up during the course of the game. First player token here. These are just a few pieces to mark different tracks on the leaderboard. And then you have the area tiles. And these are essentially the bonuses you'll earn from pillaging different areas on the board. So these will be put down face down at the very beginning, so you don't know where you're putting them essentially, and then you'll flip them over for the rest of the game. So before you start the game, you'll know what areas give you what benefits, and then there's this one area here, Yggdrasil, the center area, which gives you 1 to each stat if you pillage it. The game board itself, as I said, this is mostly an area control game, so it's going to be pretty much what you expect. As I said, Yggdrasil in the center is worth more, and that's because all of these territories can rush into any fight in Yggdrasil. Otherwise, if you're fighting here, the only people that can come and contest you are people in adjacent zones. They are separated by color. That's for some of the quest cards, and you'll notice that they do have limits on the number of units they can have in each area by these little circles on them. Yggdrasil has no limit, hence no circles. Over here we have the cards for the game and little scoring tiles, just keep track of each faction's score during the course of the game. The cards are a big part of the game. There'll be a drafting rotation at the beginning of each age, and those cards that you gain will be used during the course of the age for various effects. And you see they got a different set per age, age 3, age 2, and age 1. They get more powerful as you go, but essentially there's only a few different types of cards. So there's battle cards, which are used when you fight. Whenever you initiate a fight or are participating in a fight in any way, you have to play a card. You don't have to play a battle card, but battle cards do help you, either give you additional attack or they give you things that you can do to your opponent. For this one, if you lose, you steal a rage from them. So those are battle cards. Then you have the quest cards. Quest cards typically want you to have units, or the most units, in a particular type of area. So this one, have the most strength in one of the yellow areas at the end of the age. And then those will give you not only victory points, but they also allow you to increase one of your clan stats. So quests are very important. Then you have upgrade cards. Upgrade cards cost a certain amount of rage, as shown, and then they give you some effect. You can only have a certain number of upgrade cards. You can have one upgrade for a ship, one upgrade for a warrior, and so on. And then there's monster cards. Monster cards are additional units that you get to add to your army if you've played the monster card. You can only have a total of 2, but you can replace them. So then we have some clan upgrades over here as well. And then in these boxes are going to be your figures. CMON Games is definitely known for their figures, and these don't disappoint. So these are some of the monsters that are available to you during the course of the game. Here's the Sea Serpent. And back here we have the Fire Giant. And then in this box are going to be some other monsters, but mostly the clan pieces. So each clan is going to have a certain number of units available to it, one chieftain, and one boat. So you see here we have the chieftains for the 4 tribes right up in front. The gray plastic are to denote monster upgrade characters, and then you got the boats for each clan down here. And in the back, sort of the standard warrior figures. But as you can see, each one also has 2 poses to it. So 8 figures in total for each clan, but 2 different poses, which is nice. The last thing you have is this bag of rings, which you'll simply use to connect to your pieces whenever they're a part of your army. So you've got some of the larger rings for the monsters, and then the regular rings for your units and chieftains and the smaller monster upgrades. That's it. That's everything you get in the base box of Blood Rage. Stick around and we'll do the rest of them. So here we have the Mystics of Midgard expansion. This expansion's been available since the first Kickstarter. Obviously, it was available sooner to the Kickstarter backers, but this is not new for the most recent Kickstarter. As you can see, this expansion adds a couple more figures. These are obviously the Mystics. Player tokens. So each player will have 2 Mystics and therefore 2 rings per the Mystics. You've got a little rules booklet just telling you how they set up and what the different cards do. I have to admit, I have played Blood Rage many times, but I've never actually played with this expansion. So you've got some new cards to add in to the deck for drafting. So the Mystic cards themselves, which tell you how they work, their power, which is in the red, and the fact that they invade for free, just like your leaders. And then you got a few different cards for drafting that allow you to add your Mystics to your reserve. And that's it. Pretty small expansion. Let's take a look at one of the figures here real quick. Again, cool mini or not, there's really good quality miniatures. It's one of the things they're known for. So as you would expect, these are really high detailed, but also chunky. They don't feel brittle, as if they're gonna break. Even when you've got these little staves here, these are not warped at all, it looks like. They're just really well made. They really got this down to a high quality at this point. And that's it. Stick around, we'll look at the rest. And now we have the Deluxe Gods of Asgard expansion. This is a little bit different from what was available at the first Kickstarter. They did a sort of an oversized version of the gods for the newest Kickstarter. So this is a little bit different than what people would have had before. We've got our cards here for the different gods, and these are going to just be decided on at the beginning of the game. These aren't anything that you're going to draft, but each god is going to change how the rules of the game work in particular areas. So they're going to move around the board, and they will change certain rules of the game. For instance, Odin here, if Odin's in the province and you successfully pillage, you gain the pillage reward a second time. Thor, the winner of a battle when Thor's province gains 2 glory per enemy figure destroyed. So again, every god here is going to change the rules in their particular area. And since there are figures, obviously they're going to move around. They're not going to stick in one area the entire game. So we got Heimdall here, it looks like. Oop. And you see here, there is a little warpage on his sword. If you've never had that problem with minis before, just put it in some hot water. Not boiling, but just hot water, and it'll usually fix it. Frigga here doesn't have, got a little warp at the end, but not badly. And just, I mean, the detail on the shield is and the scabbard is really impressive. I'll go ahead and look at Odin too while we're here. Odin actually comes out of his chair. All right. So that's everything you're going to get in the Gods box. Just those figures and the cards, and at the bottom there's a little rules explanation. That's it. All right, so everything we've done up to now has been pretty similar to what's available in retail. We're going to get into the stuff that's slightly different or new for this Kickstarter, and we're going to start with these cardboard boards, clan boards, that they decided to do. A lot of people had complaints with the original boards. As I said, they're not bad quality. It's just kind of a thick cardboard paper material as opposed to like a chipboard size. So they did these new tiles. They got a little bit of flex into them, but as you can see, they're much, much thicker. And then you've got, obviously, the 4 for the original 4 clans that came in the original game. Then you've got the board for the Ram, which was their original 5th player add-on. And then you've got the board for the Wild Boar, which is their new faction for this Kickstarter. And then here we've got just the sculpted tokens. I believe these were available in the original Kickstarter, at least for the original 4 clans. I didn't have them, obviously, so I decided to go ahead and get me a copy. These are really cool, I think. And again, all these really do are, they're just markers to determine where your stats are for your different clans. So they really aren't necessary, but honestly, how much of this stuff is really necessary when it comes down to it? They look really cool, so that's enough for me. And last but certainly not least, we have the exclusive pieces for this Kickstarter. Not available anywhere else yet. This was the digital Kickstarter. So this also comes with a digital version of Blood Rage, which you can find on Steam. We've got just another rule sheetlet for the Gods of Asgard, because there is a Gods of Asgard expansion in here. I got this one, came with the Kickstarter. I got the other one because of the oversized minis. I happen to like painting minis, so you've got the new faction, the Stag faction. You've got the regular sort of cardboard player board, and then they also give you a version of the thicker sort of chipboard cardboard. So if you don't have the newer boards, you can use the boards that are more like the ones that you have. Here we have, all right. So first of all, flip this off here. Thing that probably stands out to you the most, or at least it does to me, are these God figures, which they've done in a gold plating. Obviously it's not real metal. It is still plastic, but it certainly looks the part. And again, these are fairly easy problems to fix. These little bent weapons. It doesn't look like they've lost any of the detail going to this different golden plastic, which is impressive. I mean, I've never seen anybody do a figure like this before, so I don't know if that's just business as usual, but they certainly look nice. Another set of cards for the Gods. Again, if you didn't have the Gods expansion already, this would be enough, but another set of cards there. We've got a first player token here to replace the old chipboard one. And that's pretty nice looking. You've got cards for the new monsters and also for the Stag faction, which is the new faction up here. You can see in the sort of the brownish plastic. So all the Stag's Mystic card, and then the different monster cards. So you've got Garm, who's not Fenrir, but replaces Fenrir. They essentially made a different set of monster cards to allow the first original set to still be special, but to allow people who couldn't find the first edition set to have these monsters as well. And these are also, per age. You've got some new cards to add in, new quests. You've got the Stag faction up here with their leader. And their warrior units. Let's look at a couple of these monsters here. Okay. And over here in this box, we got a few pieces here. We've got the Stag clans markers for their different clan stats. We've got their ship and their scoring tile. Then you got a few other pieces. So this is the saga piece. This, I believe, is just what marks how the round advances on that particular board. Before, it was just a little red cardboard piece. I think this is it. It may not be. But it was just a little cardboard push-out piece originally, so they did an upgrade there. Little rings for the Stag clan itself. These are to replace the cardboard pieces for the pillage rewards. So instead of putting out little pieces around the board, you'll put out these, and then you'll flip them over and they'll tell you what reward you get for pillaging that area. And then we have the pillage tokens themselves, which are just to remind you when an area has been pillaged. Not really necessary. Normally what you do is you'd have this cardboard piece on the table and it would be up like this, and once it's been pillaged, you just flip it over. Just to make it a little bit fancier, now you've got this plastic piece, and whenever you pillage it, you're going to set this building on top of it to cover it. Then you've got the Ragnarok token. This is put out every round to just remind you which area is going to be blown up. And that's it. We've gone through everything. That's everything you would have gotten with the full pledge of the most recent Blood Rage digital edition. So the last thing we have here from the Blood Rage Kickstarter is the playmat itself. Let's go ahead and take a look. So the first thing you see, obviously, is that the playmat replaces not just the game board itself, but also the Valhalla and the track board that keeps track of the different phases of the game. Everything's inked very well. As you can see, the mat is very thick. You can see on the back it's actually stitched. It's not just neoprene mat. That is the final piece of our Blood Rage Kickstarter items.